All right, super excited to share the podcast with Van Deeb that we conducted today. Phenomenal job. He is so inspiring, and I just really am excited for the listeners to hear everything that we learned on this podcast. Some things that really jumped out to me for sure are the importance of confidence. Obviously, it's important we can conduct things and accomplish things with some sort of straight arrow towards the final, but really that whole fake it till you make it, but more importantly, the confidence, really just making sure that you know that just because you may not have the most experience, all you have to do is have confidence in yourself that you'll hustle more than anybody else and you'll make sure the outcome is successful. And that is something that Van Deeb really pushed. I really liked that. Another thing that I really liked is the phrase that he said, it's not that I had to, it's that I got to. He talked about growing up and had to save up for his first car. And he corrected himself right away. He said, it's not that I had to save up or that I had to shovel driveways. It was that I got to. Relying on understanding how lucky we are to get to do what we do and knowing that we're able to do so, we should be thankful for. And I think that's something huge. And the final thing is compliments. It's funny hearing him say that he goes out of his way every day to try to compliment everybody he comes across because he's working with them and they're doing something that helps them compete or helps him compete, and they're worth being thanked. And that's funny because I honestly don't think I even thank you enough. You should thank me more. You should thank me more. But it's really important, and even if it's a quick little email, and I loved every second of today.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Some of so he had 350 agents at his brokerage. He was one of the top agents in Dallas. And I asked him, what does he do when somebody tells him no? And he says, I don't hear the word no. And he said it very confidently, and I believe it. He is confident in himself and his abilities and his skills to provide the best service. I thought that was great. He also, I asked him how he built a 350 agent brokerage, and he's like, well, I built an agency and a brokerage for agents by an agent. I didn't switch this. I didn't have a different mindset of how much can I take. I built it on the fact that I was going to serve and provide service in which I wanted. So this guy is an absolute stud. I talk about it, but he was the first person I ever heard in real estate back in 2017. He's a guy I admire. He's written multiple books. He's super motivational, and he's a down-to-earth, funny dude. He's a guy that you just want to hang out with. So really, really excited for everybody to hear from our guest, Van Deeb.
Enjoy it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keeping It Real Estate podcast with your host, Colin Schwartz and
Chris Pomerlew.
Welcome today. We have a very fantastic guest. I'm going to let him tell a little bit about his background, but I first want to start off with a little bit of an introduction. He was the first individual in real estate I ever heard speak. So anything I have succeeded in, I thank my wife, I thank my partner, and I thank Mr. Van Deeb. Van, thank you.
That's an honor. Thank you.
He was a football star at UNO, 10 years in Dallas as one of the top agents. He'll get into that. He had Deeb Realty with over 350 agents, over 100 awards. He is a radio host, which I have had the honor and opportunity to be on his show.
Great guest.
Author of 6 books, and in his spare time was the planning commissioner in Omaha. And with that, welcome, Van.
Thank you. I'm really fortunate to be here today. This is one cool place to film a video and podcast. You guys have done great.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, this is a true honor. It's almost surreal seeing this kind of come full circle as a green investor. This was January in 2017. I just remember going in, and John Hoyt was also speaking, and you
Yes.
opened up and spoke for about the first half an hour.
Yeah.
And to be able to bring it back, the honor of you coming and speaking at our meetup, being a part of the podcast, inviting me onto your show, really shows kind of the power of networking and the power of you as an influencer and just as an overall leader. So once again, thank you for that.
And I'm so grateful for the compliments, but I'm throwing it right back at you. You know, like-minded people are fortunate to be around like-minded people. So I'm just as grateful for you and Chris as you guys say you are for me. So I'm very honored to be here today.
Well, you have a really impressive background, and I'd love if we just kind of dove into that.
Okay.
And So we know how Van grew up to be the Van Deeb, and just kind of some of the steps you've taken, and because you have an impressive career, and it almost seems like you're only starting. We were just talking about a new course you're doing.
Yeah.
You're always speaking. You're always kind of pushing the needle, not just in business, but yourself and personal growth and helping those around you. So tell us a little bit about Van Deeb.
Thank you so much. So, I got into the real estate business. This coming year will be 40 years ago. At 1983, when I first got in the business, and I became addicted. And I still thank God every day for, lining me up with a career that I still, to this day, can't wait to go to work. I was supposed to retire when I sold my big company in 2009, and that lasted about 30 minutes. It was like depression. I can't get away from real estate, and I love, one of my favorite things now is helping people get to where they want to go faster. And hopefully they'll listen to my failures and what I did wrong, and they'll avoid it. And I really want people that are trying to make it in real estate not to make the same mistakes I did. However, it is healthy if you do make mistakes and you do fail, especially if you learn. Now, if you're making the same mistakes over and over again, that's not good. But, and you surround yourself around the Chris's, the Collins, and all, the people that are in the business that are trying to do more than the average real estate person. You really want to pay attention. Like I pay attention to you two on what's going on. It keeps me abreast on what's happening. But like I say, I got very fortunate, and I became addicted. It was, I never wanted to take a day off. It wasn't unusual for me to tell 15 people a day, I'm 24/7. If you say jump, I say how high. Now, the only problem with that mentality is you don't know when to stop. I'm going to give you an example. I got a place in Arizona. I book about 12 trips in July every year for the fall and the beginning of the first of the year. Short little trips. Like clockwork, I'll probably cancel half of them. And that's why I'm a Southwest junkie, because I can cancel an hour before and not lose any money. But I cancel because somebody calls me up and says, we want to put our house on the market this Saturday. Well, I'm planning on leaving for Arizona Friday. I don't tell them that. What do I say to them? You got it. And then I cancel my trip. So until I don't feel that desire to say, I don't want to do that, I'm going to go to Arizona, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. 40 years later, and I still look for opportunities to stay busy in real estate. So I love it. And one of the things I love more now that I'm seasoned, or I guess you'd call me a senior, being 63, I sure don't feel it. And you guys know me. I still can't believe I'm,
You don't look it.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that. But this whole adult thing is overrated. I will never call myself an adult. A serious businessman, yes. Goofball times 10.
It's good.
I just, I don't get this getting older thing, so I'm still adjusting to that, especially when I'm around young guys like you guys.
It's important to not take yourself too seriously. We take business, we take the things that matter seriously, take relationships seriously, but can't take yourself too seriously.
No. But here's the thing that I love about real estate is, I grew up in a family of teachers, and I saw them go in at night, and I saw them go in on weekends. Well, guess what? They didn't get paid extra for going in at night. They didn't get paid extra for going in on weekends. That's why I'm such an advocate of educators. I'll do anything for a teacher to help them if they need help. And, we didn't have any money, grew up in 49th and Fort in North Omaha, and I didn't know we didn't have any money because we were happy. We were spoiled with love. But if we wanted something, we went and worked for it. If I wanted a car when I turned 16, I had to go, I got to go shovel driveways and mow yards so I can buy a car. I want to go to college. I was an athlete, but not good enough for a full scholarship. I got to go mow some more yards and shovel some more driveways so I can save money for college. So I grew up where the 4-letter word in my world was WORK. And that's still my 4-letter word today, WORK. If you want something bad enough, if you master those 4 letters, nothing will hold you back from accomplishing your dream. Now, it's helpful if you surround yourself around like-minded people like you two. That's going to get you where you want to go faster. But no one will ever take away WORK, and then you couple that with the 4 Ds, drive, desire, discipline, and determination. And there's nothing you can't do, because real estate's a vehicle. Real estate is a vehicle to build wealth.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, you know, I can't tell you how many times in my 20s and 30s, hey, Deeb, we're all going to Okoboji, or hey, we're all doing this. I'm like, dude, you know, I'm going to be working my tail off this weekend. And my attitude was, you guys go do that in your 20s and 30s, and I'll buy Okoboji in my 40s. I mean, of course, that's being a little cocky.
Nah, that's great.
That's awesome.
I love it.
But that was my attitude, is I want to work my tail off. Now, life is short. One thing I will not preach to anybody is balance, because I couldn't spell it. And I don't recommend it. I recommend not waiting like I did until I got in my 40s to start, you know, spending a couple bucks. Balance. Try to do it all, try to live that wonderful life and a work-life balance, because we don't know what tomorrow brings.
You're saying that treat yourself?
Treat yourself, because here's the way you look at it. So let's say you get to your 60s. You've made all this wealth. You got a ton of money. Well, the average lifespan isn't much longer. So, I mean, it is, but I mean, I think 75 is an average male's lifespan. Well, you don't want to retire at 65 and then you have 12 years to enjoy it. So I really recommend to people to do what I didn't do. Now, I had a blast. You know, it's not like I just went to work and went home and I knitted booties from my neighbor's dog. You know, I was a wild person.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I enjoyed my life, but it was real estate related. When I'd go partying, when I'd go out and do stuff, I was giving my card out until my last beer, until I fell down.
Drinking from the same fire hose we are.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So
It's passionate.
Was your first introduction to real estate, or when you got started, was that in Dallas?
It was Dallas, Texas. So I grew up in Omaha, did everything here, and I said, you know what? I've never been away. I've never gone anywhere. I'm going to go to Dallas. I know nobody. I have no job. I have nothing. I got everything to my name was $500, and whatever I could fit in my piece of junk little Capri with the little teeny car. And I got there and did some odd jobs, and and then I ran in. Here's what it started, man. I ran into a guy from my high school in Omaha. Didn't know him very well, but we started talking, and he had this killer car, and this is how it happened. And I said, you're a young guy driving a really cool car. What kind of business are you? And he goes, I'm in real estate. He goes, you'd be good at it. And that's where it all started. And, I said, does your car go more than 40 miles an hour? He goes, yeah. I go, well, mine doesn't, so I want to get in real estate. And so it was really, I've always been inspired by successful people. I've always been motivated by successful people.
I think that's the purpose of what we're doing here. We love to be surrounded by successful people. And I think you hit it right on the head there. I mean, you're going to, there's a quote about you are the 5 people you spend the most time with or whatever it is. But I mean, that's the problem is that, gosh, Colin and I are the same as you. We consistently are drinking from the fire hose with the most positive attitudes. Like we're going to get done with this podcast, and I'm going to want to maybe go get my real estate agent license. Like I have no idea.
Come on, I'll help you. I'll help you.
It's just it's motivating. It's good to be. I want to go back to actually go ahead, but I want to go back to something you said earlier. You said when you talked about saving up for your first car.
Yeah.
You said I had to go shovel, and you said not had, I got to. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Because instead of saying, I have to do something, really think about what you just said. You get to do it. I mean, look at the people that don't have the ability to stand on both their legs.
Yeah.
Look at the people that are bedridden. Look at the people that are, in a wheelchair. I'm fortunate. I get to go mow a yard. I get to go WORK. I get to go shovel a driveway.
Yeah.
And so one piece and one element that you can never lose when you're trying to accomplish your dreams is gratitude. And people like to do business with grateful people. People that are grateful about the smallest of things. Like today, I asked my title company to send me a document. I'm about to do some seller financing on some of my rental properties. And I sent her an email last night at 8 o'clock while I'm sitting on my couch. I had it this morning at 8 o'clock when and I could have just said, hey, thanks. But you know what I said in my email, what I do? I am super grateful for you for getting it to me so quickly. And I want people to know, that I'm grateful for what they do, because they don't have to do that. And the more we let people know how grateful that we are for them, usually it's going to work in a way that it's going to make them want to continue to do good things.
I do the same thing, and I mean, Colin gives me a little grief, but I know he's just joking. But I'll fire off thank you emails, and it doesn't necessarily push the ball forward, but I want to make sure that an individual understands that I see what you're doing, and I'm appreciative of the helping us move forward. I think it's huge.
It's huge. I want to tell you, there was something I was really impressed with. I joined the Omaha Chamber of Commerce, I don't know, back in the 90s. And one of the things that they did that I volunteered for is they did a thankathon, where every December they got, 20 of us members. We'd go there and they'd give us a list of members. And all we do is call and say, this is Van Deeb with Deeb Realty. However, today I'm calling on behalf of the Omaha Chamber of Commerce. We're just calling to say thank you for being a member. It was just super cool. You can't let people know how grateful you are for them enough.
It's amazing, and it also starts internally as well. Your definition and what you were saying about, I get to go to work, I have the opportunity, and it made me think, how excited is everybody on their first day of a job? They are excited. They've nailed the interview. They've been looking for jobs. They get to start at a new place. They're excited, nervous, but looking forward to the opportunity. A year later, they're in the same job with the same expectations, except they're fearing it. They no longer enjoy it, when it's the exact same thing. When if they were to flip the script, such as Chris and I and yourself, I love coming to work. I get to come to work. Every day am I at 100%? No, but I still have the opportunity to do this. I'm standing on all twos. It's a phenomenal opportunity. So I love that you highlighted the gratitude and then actually providing and pushing it out to the world.
Sometimes I feel a little sick in the head because I'm like, every day, whether I'm at 130% of being so obsessed or whether I'm at 70, I remember past jobs where I was negative 40. Like, I do not want to be here. It is so hard for me to not just get up and walk out. And every day what we're doing now, even if we have rough things going on personally, it's so easy to get excited about the stuff we're doing. And I think a lot of that, again, comes full circle about surrounding yourself with people that are going to keep you motivated.
And my newsletters I've been doing forever, and you can get them at vandeeb.com, sign up, and they come in your inbox first of every month. If you'll read my short little newsletters, they're all about personal growth. I could preach on real estate nonstop, but it's all about personal growth. And people like to do business with people that are grateful. They just do. I do. I like to do business with people that are passionate about what they do and they're grateful. It makes my life easier. And so I totally agree. And, people today need encouragement now more than ever. There's a lot of personal challenges that people have. And I quote this, and you've probably heard me say it on some of my speeches in the past. In 1998, they did a survey. This is really important. In 1998, they did a survey that 1 out of 8 people suffer from some sort of depression or anxiety or mental disability. Today, in February of 2022, beginning of the year, they did the same study, and now it's 1 out of 2.5 people.
I believe it.
And so my point is, we don't know if when we're friendly to somebody, when we smile at somebody, when we compliment somebody, that may be the best thing that happened to them all day. We don't know what their home life is like, their financial situation, but we do know that we have the ability to make a difference in their life.
It's amazing. I was even thinking about this morning before our podcast. I was at the gym this morning, and somebody comes in. I'm new to this gym. Chris and I have both just started going. And a guy comes up, says, "What's up, brother?" and gives me a high five. And just that at 5:30,
Yep.
It's amazing. Like, it lifted my spirits. It's the goofiest thing because I did not want to go. I'm like, but it really does help with the people. And just seeing that reaffirming my point of, to your point, just giving somebody a pat on the back, saying good job, the effect that can have on a person's
I
psyche.
guarantee you're going to look forward to seeing that person the next time.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you're going to look forward to seeing that person.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with that mentality, you became one of the top residential agents in Dallas, correct?
Yeah, in the country, I was ranked number 71 out of 43,000 realtors. That's, yeah.
With no experience.
No experience.
No pedigrees that came from.
No, I couldn't even spell pedigree. I still can't.
So it already seems that some of your skills are gratitude and being a giver. But how did you do it? How did you become one of the best agents in the country? What were some of the skills?
Confidence. Key word. You combine that with WORK, drive, desire, determination, and discipline, and you have confidence. Katie bar the door because you're going to the moon. Confidence. I didn't know anything about real estate. And of course, when you get your license, the first thing they say is call everybody you know. Well, that took 2 seconds. I knew nobody. I mean, I was trying to call myself, but that didn't work. So I just became annoying. Every person from the gas station attendant to the checkout person at the grocery store, I gave a card to. If you know anybody that like to buy or sell a house, I'll sure take great care of them. I was a marketing machine. We had no computers. We had no internet. We had no cell phones. So I did it. That's why today when I see these agents out there with all the tools and technology that they have, they better be successful because it's a gift. I mean, all of the tools and resources that agents have today, they should be able to make a fortune blindfolded.
Was it as competitive back when you started as it is now?
You know, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. I don't remember exactly how many agents there were, but yeah, I'm sure it was because when I'd go on a listing appointment, there was, hundreds of people that would love to go do the same thing. But so what I had to be comfortable doing, Chris, is when I'm in a living room, I didn't know anything, but I know that I'm not there to practice. I'm not there for them to say, well, that was a good presentation. We'll use you the next time in 5 years. No, I had to go there. I had to get the deal. And my attitude was, when I'm driving my car to their house, I'm talking to myself the whole way. This is my deal. I deserve it. I'm getting this deal. I'm getting myself so fired up that I had to chill out before I got there.
I get that. I used to crank the radio on the way in.
Yeah, if they had edibles back then, I probably would have taken one. But so I'd get myself all jacked up, and I'd go in the living room, and I'd have to be comfortable saying, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, there's 23,000 real estate agents in Dallas, and there's some really, really good ones in this city, but not one of them can compete with me on what I can do for you to get you the highest price possible in the shortest amount of time with little or no inconvenience to you. I could have had that on a tape recorder. But if I didn't feel I was the best of the best, why would they use me?
Right.
If I said, gee, thanks, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, for having me over, there's a lot of people that are way better than me, so I'm glad you had me here. No, and I'll tell you what, the other two people that they're interviewing aren't going to say, oh, I see you had Van Deeb here. He's better than me.
Right.
No, you have an opportunity not to be cocky. I definitely didn't try to do that, but confident. No one will work harder than I will to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and you're going to enjoy it.
I think that's big, though, because, I don't know if I like the phrase fake it till you make it, but
Yeah.
it really is. Whatever you lacked in experience, you knew that you would hustle harder than anybody. And there's something to be said about that, because there's a lot of people, you see it in a lot of professions, where they get to a point where they've been around long enough, and they actually probably won't be as successful as the one who hasn't, who just has that drive and that hustle. And that comes from confidence, not being cocky.
So I don't know if this is in your book, The Power of Asking,
agree.
but I remember you saying this, that the conversation starts at no. And all too often, I just remember you saying this, and I think it was in your book, The Power of Asking. Maybe I'm kind of confusing them, but it made me think there's so many times, 99% of the conversations that we have when we're trying to negotiate or we think we're trying to accomplish something, somebody tells us no and we stop. That's what we're ingrained in our minds. At school, you're told no, you don't go outside. Okay, I don't go outside. But in real life, the conversation really does start with no. That's the time to sell yourself, to show your client, this is what I can provide. So I don't know if you want to go into a little bit of detail about that, but I had never heard anybody say that in the way that you did and really have kind of the conviction behind it.
I really did never hear the word no. They said it, but I didn't hear it because I programmed myself not to hear it. I'd move on to something else. And, so when we're talking about, a lot of times if you get a no, it's because you might have told them something that they don't want to hear. Like the market, like for instance, their house. Let's say their house, you've done your market analysis, their property's worth $300,000. They think it's worth $350,000. That can be a reason right there that they won't use you. So I listened to a lot of top agents and a lot of training stuff, and they would always say stuff like, I think your house should be priced at $300,000. I think it will be on, it will sell for. I never wanted to do that, especially at a young part of my life, because I'm a young guy, 23, trying to get people to, do business with me on the biggest investment of their life. So I would say the market. I never wanted to put myself in that position. I'd say the market suggests your house be listed.
Well, then it's you versus the problem. As
Exactly.
opposed to each
Yeah,
other.
so exactly. So the market suggests that you sell your house that you list your house for $300,000. I am confident I'm going to get you a sales price close to that. I only use the word I about me in a positive light. I mean, think about it. It's like football. When Nebraska wins, we won. When Nebraska loses, they lost. That's how we do things. We want to associate ourselves with winning, not losing. So I adopted that same thing in real estate. When people say no, it's usually because you're telling them something they don't want to hear. So you've got to pivot and let them know that you're not coming up with that data. That's the market that's coming up with that data. I'm just being honest with you.
And it's the same for buyers and sellers of the same asset we're talking about. I mean, if you get into butting heads, right, about how it's $295, it's $305, it's more like how can we both win from this, and or let's not make it an A versus B. Let's see how we can conquer C.
Yeah, it's just like with sellers, and I still just did it last week with a seller. Van, we want to price our house at $750. And I said to him, but that's a little above what the market's going to accept. And they said, but we that's what we want. I said, but you don't want to compete with the buyers. I said, let's price it like I recommend. Let's price it at $710. That's what I'm recommending. Let the buyers compete with each other and let them raise the price. Don't make a buyer compete with you. And I want to tell you, I'm almost 100% kill ratio when I use that scenario.
Kill ratio.
When I use that scenario.
I like it.
Well, I call it kill ratio because when you've been on straight commission since you've been 23 years old, you only eat what you kill.
Yeah.
Because you don't eat if you don't kill something.
Van, how many transactions have you done?
Oh, wow.
I'm curious, how many houses have you sold?
I don't think I've ever been asked that question.
If you knew that answer, it'd be pretty impressive.
Wow. Oh boy, Colin, you just gave
I've got 2 hands and 2 sets of feet, so we can start counting.
You just gave me some homework. I don't know. It's a lot.
What about your best year?
My best year, I remember I had a month where I had, now don't forget, no team, no transaction coordinator that people get when they sell two houses.
No cell phone or internet.
No cell phone, no internet, no transaction coordinator, no team. I had 28 closings in 1 month.
That's nuts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was my best month.
That's a phenomenal year for 90% of agents,
It
if
really
not
is.
95% of
Yeah,
agents.
because at that time, the average agent sold 7 houses a year.
Whew, I just want to get up and celebrate.
Now-
you got me pumped up now.
Now,
That's
the
insane.
reason why I remember that month, because I've never had a month like that. And so you remember things that stand out. But it was like the whole month, all I'm doing is going to title companies for closing. But it was the WORK that got me there. Now, I remember working with a group of doctors. The only time they could meet me is 3 in the morning. Now, a lot of realtors would say, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'd say, sure. I'll meet you at my office. We'll be in the conference room at 3 a.m. I mean, so I gave of myself every possible second. My edge over other people, one of the edges were, I'm available when you want me to be. I will do everything in my power. I mean, and I did that when I got back to Omaha. I mean, I had some of the best seats for UNO hockey. I was on the committee that brought UNO, that brought Division I hockey to UNO. I had killer seats. We partied there before the game. You know, we'd have a blast. If I got a phone call at 6:30 and I'm getting loaded up with my gal to go to the game, and someone says, listen, there's a property that came on the market and I'm concerned it's not going to be there tomorrow. Is there any way we can see it tonight? I'm gone.
It's
And it was my mentality. It was, you know, and I prepared every person close to me. This is where I'm at in my career. When people say jump, I say how high. So it might affect our relationship.
Yeah. What I think's often overlooked is success is a lagging indicator. Those closings that month, that's the lagging indicator.
Yep.
The leading indicator is taking those appointments, is leaving, is the 3 a.m. phone calls, is the WORK, the work that you're putting in. That's the leading indicator. The people that you know are going to be successful are those individuals putting in the time, the hours. They might not have the money, they may not have the credibility, they may not have done any deals yet, but they are actually putting in the work. They're burning the midnight candle. I just remember all the time Chris and I having these conversations at like 3 a.m. Yep. Oh, it's midnight. We're texting back and forth. Yep. We're going back and forth. Every single appointment for a new property that would come on the market before we became partners, there Chris was, there I was, going back and forth. And that was really the definition of us getting to, you know, $220 million of real estate. It didn't start like that. We maybe had 3 duplexes that we're working on in a single family home. Yep. But we were working our tails off, that leading indicator, the work, to produce the lagging indicator. So I think just you're the prime example of that.
Well said.
It's the hustle. I mean, I don't know. It's overplayed because everybody says that grind, and then Vanderchuck is on there saying just grind, hustle, hustle. But I don't know how there's any other way.
See, I feel
building relationships is at the top. You know, and that's part of the grind and the hustle.
That's part of it.
When you build relationships, you have people out there trying to help you. People are out there selling for you. I mean, slow your roll and let people know, look at them right in the eyes and let them know, I would be so grateful if you referred me to anybody you know that has a property that they want to sell, residential.
That ask is big, though. It takes some confidence, sure, but some guts to make that ask because you feel a little extra. But that's the only way you're going to build those relationships.
Well, I'm frugal. I mean, I'm a guy that I enjoy getting the same results as other people with spending half the money they do. So I know one of the ways to save money and make it is using your voice.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. And it's like when people would say after a transaction, thank you very much, Van. Appreciate all you did for us during this purchase. I'd say, you know what? I'm grateful that you're thanking me. The best way to thank me is, would you mind telling everybody you know if they want to buy or sell a house to call me? Oh, sure. Here's a bunch of my cards. So, I mean, I threw it back to people. I was a marketing machine without spending any money. And I used to really enjoy knowing that my acquisition costs, like today, it blows me away when I visit with agents because I mentor a lot of agents, and a lot of them are with other companies in Omaha, real estate companies, but they can't get that kind of mentor at their company. And, they're telling me the thousands of their dollars they're spending on lead generation. I understand that. I know that that's the new world. I'm going to tell you right now, except for putting ads in coupons or ads in magazines, free market analysis, we didn't know what lead generation was. We didn't spend a dime on it. I mean, lead generation to me is, hey, do you want to buy a house? And if not, do you know anybody that does? Yeah. So I did things the frugal way. I mean, I sat on open houses whenever I had 2 hours to spare, because that's a freebie walking in the door if you do your job right.
Van, you built a brokerage to 350 agents. That is just a tremendous number of individuals and a tremendous responsibility. One, was that the plan? Was that 23-year-old Van's mission to build something like that? And looking back on it, what was it like to build that? I mean, it's something that I don't know if you had envisioned. I'm just kind of curious because that is a monster. You ended up selling it to Nebraska Realty, correct?
Yeah. Actually, it was Deeb Realty for 6 years after they bought it, and then they changed the name. So Deeb Realty really is Nebraska Realty.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. All the same people. My same manager started out answering telephones, and I ended up selling him the company. So it's a pretty cool story. He's doing a great job over there. But yeah, it was, when I came back from Dallas, I had all these accomplishments. I reached a real high plateau. I came back to Omaha, in 1993 for family reasons. And I was just going to do me, myself, and I thought about maybe buying a restaurant, doing all this other stuff. And, really hard for me to get away from real estate because I loved it. Well, I started my own little company, Deeb Realty, and I was planning on just keeping it me, myself, and I. And then all of a sudden, somebody would call and say, hey, I like the way that you do business. And I did things I always was thinking about the other agent. How can I really benefit the other agents that are selling my listings? And so I created stuff like, at closing, I'd hand carry their commission check. I would treat them like they're my customer. Well, then all of a sudden people said, hey, can I join you? All of a sudden we have 10 people, 20, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. And all of a sudden, which I thought was pretty cool, a company owned by Warren Buffett, I got 100 of their agents coming over to my place. And we didn't do anything to get them except they liked the culture. So my mindset, I'm an agent. I'm more of an agent than a broker owner. I think like an agent. So all of the things that I implemented at Deeb Realty were pro-agent. And I implemented stuff that people never heard of. Matter of fact, if you talk to anybody that was around in 1993 when I opened up, they will say that we revolutionized the way real estate's done in Omaha because we forced the other companies to do better things for their agents. Some of the stuff we did is normally back then you'd call off a sign and the only number on the real estate sign is the name of the company, is a phone number to the company. So they'd call in, the receptionist would answer the phone and somebody would say, I'm calling about 1256 Jackson Street. Well, she couldn't answer anything because she's not licensed, so she'd go to duty desk. There's 2 people on duty desk, and they're just sitting there waiting for leads. Well, usually if you're on duty desk, you have no business, or you wouldn't be sitting behind the receptionist all day waiting for leads. Well, in my company, we did not put our name, our phone number on the sign. We put the agent's cell phone. We wanted them to get the leads. So it just so happened that Deeb Realty, we had the shortest market time in the MLS. All the companies that were members of the MLS, we had the shortest market time, and we advertised that. Shortest market time. Use us to sell your house. Well, it's because we made it so agent-friendly.
That seems so obvious to me in hindsight.
Beyond obvious, but that's not the way brokers think. Brokers think about what's best for me, not what's best for the agent. And so we revolutionized the way people think. Well, we forced brokers to follow our lead. We forced CBS. We forced Dodge. Dodge's been around since 1857. They were actually the easiest people to mess with because they had
Archaic, stuck in their ways.
And they still do. I mean, we still say, that's the best place to go right before hospice. And I only say things that are deserving.
Yeah.
But, so we really changed the way the market is. But we were agent. Everything was all about the agent. So my motto was a company built by agents for agents. And I see companies adapting to that, but still not the way that we did it. For instance, if you had a closing, let's say you had a closing at 1 o'clock, you're probably going to get your paycheck 7 to 10 days later. That's how they do it. You have a closing, and I'm the broker, and I own the company at 1 o'clock. You're getting your check at 2:30. So it's little stuff like that people are like, gosh, dang it. All these simple things, and like you said, Chris, it's obvious.
It is. People ask how, I had this question the other day. I was speaking at the Lincoln Investors Meetup. Somebody was asking about contractors, how you keep them, how you retain them, what do you look for? I'm like, first they have to do the work, but I pay them quickly and I treat them like a human. I build a relationship with that individual. I know that my goal is to work alongside this person for the next 1, 2, 5, 10 years. And in doing that, you have to build that relationship with them. Because if they want to work for you, you want to work for them, and you want to pay them quicker, and you want to continue. It's really symbiotic. And I think people oftentimes, they see an email or they see a website, they'll go on there, they'll call the receptionist, they might treat the person as if they are lower than them to get to somebody else, say, okay, I need this, they get a bid, and it's very cold throughout the process, and they wonder why they're not getting the best service. Well, you're not providing any type of service as a human being. I mean, in a very just common sense standpoint, but it's no longer common sense of just having that relationship aspect with any individual that you come in contact with, because the rising tides, I mean, they raise all ships. So I think everything that you have said really, really resonates. Now, you being an agent mindset and just wanting to go out there and grind, get the deals, and having that mindset for your agents, who was one of your first hires, or who was the person that helped actually put the business together?
So I had a guy that there's a mortgage company we worked with a lot that really believed in us, and they knew where we were headed. I had not planned on growing, and I got a guy named Joe Marcarelli. He's in the real estate business. He's an attorney. He comes up to me and he goes, do you realize your culture here? Do you really realize what you have? And I'm like, no, it's just a great place to work and people are happy. We got 20 agents. We're doing good. And he goes, you've got something really special here and the rest of the world needs to know it. So this is a guy that came out and said, I work places for 2 years and I move on. Everything I do is for 2 years. I sailed around the world, took me 2 years, and I did something else. This is a really cool cat. Actually, he lives in Phoenix now. And he goes, let me come work for you for 2 years and I'll do nothing but spread the word. Well, he was the guy that drove everybody here. He called up every agent that we would be interested in. We didn't want anybody that treated people poorly. We didn't want people that didn't respect others, because and I don't want to keep on pounding on this company, but there is a company out there that they really treat people poorly.
We know who you're talking about.
And you know what, they've given themselves that reputation, because, I love all of my competitors. My competitors have me come and speak to their agents. So that's the relationship that I have with my competitors. But so he would do nothing but call it. Within 2 years, we had 100 agents. And, he was brutal. I mean, he was just brutal. He would call them up and say, if you were here, this is the kind of money you'd make, da-da-da. Because once again, our policies were agent-driven. So we didn't charge all the junk fees that everybody else had at these other companies. Excuse me. Allergies. At these other companies, you got your commission check, and then there'd be 15 line items underneath it of what they took out. Well, at Deeb Realty, when you sold a house, that day you knew what your check was going to be, because we took no fees out. It was, and so people loved that.
Right.
If you asked my competitors' agents at that time, well, you just sold this house, how much are you going to make? I guarantee you, they would all say, I don't know.
Chinese arithmetic.
Yeah, they had no idea. At my place, they could tell you that day they sold it or what their checks
The
were.
transparency is huge.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose something that you said earlier, so I'm not trying to take a pretty large detour here, but I heard you say earlier that you're now starting to look at your rentals and you're going to start conducting some seller financing.
Yeah, I've been a landlord for 35 years, and I'm not passionate about it anymore. I think it's a great way to build wealth, but I'm at a point in my life where I'm going to go from landlord to banker.
You manage yourself?
Yeah, I manage all my own properties. I have my whole life because I don't know anybody that's going to work as hard as I do, which is a bad mindset. It's going to keep you pigeonholed. Now, I don't have a ton. If I had a ton, I'd be calling you guys to manage my properties because I know how passionate you guys are about making sure your customers are happy. But no, I'm going from landlord to banker.
Right now, this has been in my head a lot recently, and it's just great to hear someone like you with so much experience, so successful, say that. But with rates going up, less and less people are going to be able to qualify for their homes. And so what better way than to conduct the seller financing stuff?
Yeah. I want to help people get into homes, and if they can't get a traditional mortgage, I want to, if the house is right, the price is right, I want to help them.
It's kind of sad, actually. I'm a little worried. Look, not for anybody in this room, because I think we all have that drive to figure it out. And we're in the realm of investments, so we kind of know different ways to bend and make it work for us as far as investments. But just starting a family or getting married or by yourself, getting a home right now is going to be pretty tough over the next couple of years. Seller financing could be awesome. It's great to hear that you're doing that.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the process of it. I've got a guy that I really believe in, that I really want to help him build his portfolio. And so I'm going to do some things that you probably don't normally do to help people, but he's deserving. I started out when rates were 17.5%. And then they dropped to 15, and people were going nuts to buy houses. The rates are so low, they're 15. Gosh. So when I see these rates go up to 7, sure, I feel bad for people that took out of the market for buying it. Dude, add 10% to that. And I've been through 4 markets that have been adjusted, that have not been the greatest, like they say we're going in one now. And man, you just dig deep. You carry around a picture of your wife and kids or your husband and kids or whatever your significant other, and you know that these guys are counting on you to use all your God-given talent to still be successful. The 4 downturns that I've been in 39 and a half years were all my best years. Is that weird? And you know why they were my best years? Because so many people convinced themselves it was a crappy market.
That's why it's not weird to me, is that you said, I'll make it work. I had the confidence to make it work.
I'd ask 10 realtors during a down market, how's everything? Man, it sucks. My business is terrible, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to give you unsolicited advice, but ask me that same question. How's the market? Let me tell you something, Chris. There's some incredible opportunities out there. Just tell me what you're looking for, and I'm going to get it for you, because now is the time to jump on these opportunities. I mean, that's really how you do it. I mean, I don't want to work with somebody that says, yeah, the market sucks.
Woe is me.
Yeah,
poor me.
Yeah, no, that's funny. And I think the same thing during COVID. We took it as an opportunity, obviously, world shutting down. I'm not going to lie. I was certainly scared, young family, just building a business, maybe had, I think, 400 rental units at the time, maybe 500 or so. 2, 3 employees. So really just kind of starting. Now we're, over 20 employees right now. But I just remember looking at myself in the mirror. I was like, there's few times you get these opportunities to really dig deep and to see what you're made of. The whole world is on fire. Am I looking to run away, or am I looking to put together the fire extinguisher? Am I going to be the fire truck that extinguishes this flame and continues along with business and creates something out of it? And fortunately, that's what we did. You know, I mean, as I said, I'm not going to say it wasn't nerve wracking. I love how you say have a picture of your wife, hold on to it dearly, and keep those sites.
These guys depend on you.
But they depend on you. So what is, you know, we're going to start wrapping it up soon. But what's a piece of advice that you have for individuals as a possible upcoming? I mean, technically we're in a recession, 2 down quarters. What's something that you would do as an agent, an investor, et cetera, to either mindset, professionally, tactfully do in this upcoming downturn?
I can only give advice on what I've experienced myself, and be frugal. Be super frugal. If you absolutely don't need it, don't buy it. Work harder. Be a bottom feeder. If you're not going to buy it, maybe you find somebody that will, that you can make a buck on. But there's going to be, in my opinion, we're going to see some really good opportunities. And I would really just keep your eyes open and spread the word. Spread the word that you're looking for people, in your cases, to buy apartments, to sell apartments, to buy investment properties. Just get the word out, because there's going to be people that have overextended. I know a ton of people that I pray that it doesn't get to that point, but so many people are overextended. I want to tell you something. One of the guys at one of the top real estate agents in Omaha, and I won't mention names, really great guy, worked for another company. He would go out, you know, he bought a $2 million home and all this other stuff and cars and everything. But his lifestyle was that if he didn't sell 15 houses a month, he'd go broke. You don't want to be that guy.
No.
I mean, people would look at me and say, man alive, I thought you were successful. I'll never forget when I had my yard guy say to me, I had some work done at my house. He goes, man, I would have thought you were successful. And I'm like, dude, what? And he goes, well, you live in a $300,000 house. I said, well, yeah, because I wrote a check for it. You know, I mean, that was back in the day. But the thing is don't worry about what other people think about what you have and what you don't have. All that matters is that you're happy where you're at. You know, people don't care. You know, don't try to impress other people. And we see a lot of that, and it gets them in trouble in a market that we're about to get into.
Well, you could find yourself doing things to get this flashy item that's not really going to get you to what you really want, which is just long term.
No, and I'll tell you something. I want to add one more thing. Every downturn we've had, Omaha is not affected like the rest of the big markets. Phoenix, Seattle, Miami, Denver, Boise, Idaho, they take nosedives and then they skyrocket back up in the good times. Omaha, we flatline. Anybody doing business in the Midwest, Omaha, Nebraska, I'm telling you, don't worry. We're going to be just fine, because people, you know, when I was a planning commissioner, I was privy to all these things that are happening to Omaha, and they haven't even happened yet. So Omaha I believe, is going to be exempt from all this recession and all this stuff. I just think that we're going to be exempt.
You know, the effect will be minimal.
No,
there you go. And that's a better way to put it, Chris.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, before we wrap it up, Van, this has been fantastic. But we have CNC's final 3 with Chris and Colin. We've got 3 questions for you. First one, you are a very disciplined man. So what are your daily habits? What's something that's a non-negotiable for you 95% of the days?
So I get up around 5 o'clock every morning, and I used to go to the gym, because I can't tell you how much business I'd get at the gym at 5 a.m. because it's your movers and shakers. There's no slackers at the gym at 5 a.m. like you two. I can't tell you the connections I made, CEOs, business people. They see you're there, they want to do business with you. That's changed a little bit now that I'm a dog owner. So my morning starts out playing with my dog. He's my happy place. He's my favorite thing in the world. And so that's my start. And then I get ready, like, even if I have nothing really happening that day, I get ready like I'm on call. Like somebody calls and says, I want to go see a house. I want to do business. I want you to coach me. I want you to speak at this event. So my typical day, I start at 5. I'm not a late night person unless there's some event that I'm going to go to, but I crash between 8:30 and 9.
Good for you.
Unless there's something going on. But, I enjoy going to bed early. So there you go.
I love that answer. I have never heard that answer being that. I've never heard someone say, I'm getting ready. Whether I'm going someplace or not,
Yep.
I'm ready to roll right
Yep.
now. Because a lot of people, gosh, sometimes myself included, I'll be a little, if I get up and I don't have to be someplace in particular, I might be in front of the computer taking phone calls, but I might look a little disheveled.
Yep.
But you're just rip roaring ready to go. That's awesome.
I want to be ready to rock and roll.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Second question. If you had to start from scratch right now, roll into Dallas, no friends, what would you do?
Same thing. I would get my real estate license, and I would. There's a huge benefit not having anybody to call and talk to. I had to learn to cold call, and I was scared to death. I had to learn to go ask strangers to do business with me. I didn't have the luxury that I had when I got back to Omaha, saying, "Yeah, I went to high school with him. I went to grade school with him. I went to UNO with him." I didn't have any of those luxuries, so it was a great learning ground to start my business with absolutely no connections and no help. I wouldn't start over. Probably would have had a car that went 45 instead of 40.
That's great. Final question. What's one skill every leader should have?
The ability to bring the best out in people that they work with and never say they work for you. I was never comfortable saying these guys work for me. I get a chance to work with them.
Yeah.
So I would say that a leader should go to work every day saying, how can I bring the best out in my people? The reason why I get hired all over the city of Omaha to do culture consulting is because no one quit my company. Unheard of. No one left because we treated them all like they matter. So I think that leaders have the responsibility to bring out the best in the people that they work with.
Van, that is absolutely beautiful. As we're wrapping up, what are some things you're looking for from our audience, maybe somebody to hire, and how can everybody get a hold of you?
Thank you so much for offering that. So I would ask everybody, if you know anybody that needs a speaker, I will guarantee that they will be better after I'm done than the way they were. I love speaking. I like helping people get to where they want to go. So I would say anybody that needs coaching, any speaker, anybody that has a speaking opportunity. I speak to Fortune 500 companies and to small mom and pops, and they can get me at vandeeb.com. My podcasts are on Van. Just punch in Van Deeb. Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm around. So, but vandeeb.com would be the easiest way for people to get in touch with me.
Awesome. Thank you, Van. Thank you, Chris.
It's been great. It's been great.
You guys are two of my favorites. I tell
think
you,
we're kindred souls, man.
I want to come work here. I like the vibe here.
I love it. We can work together, brother.
I'm just glad that I get a chance to see you guys. You know, I got a front row seat watching what you guys are building. Pretty impressive.
Following in your footsteps.
Thank you. That's an honor.
Lead the way, sir.
Awesome.
Right.
Thanks, Van.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.